Hello, 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 hello. Thank you for clicking on immunity, impeachment, and for some people, possibly a time of introspection. I don't know. That's for them to decide, obviously. That's why it's called introspection. So, again, thank you for clicking on. Um, haven't been feeling the greatest the past couple of days, and still not. But so I'm not going to do the an extended call-in type show, which I planned to do yesterday. Not going to do that. I'm going to try to do that tomorrow. Look for a post in the on the community page, and as to if I'm going to do that tomorrow evening. Probably will tomorrow night. Hopefully, I'm feeling good enough to be able to do so. But there are some things that we have to talk about tonight. I feel like I need to talk about tonight. I guess I should say, and say hello to Five Fifths. Not going away. Thank you for everything always. And hello, peace, love, and sunshine. Thank you all for being here. Um, I'm going to start out in a way that I never start out. I'm going to start out by talking about scripture, by talking about the Bible briefly, um, specifically the gospel, more specific, the Gospel of Matthew, um, where Jesus gives a simple message about not harming the children, and how when you harm the children, you would be better off to have a millstone tied around your neck and be thrown into the depths. That would be better for you than what is coming if you harm the children. And there are those wanting to normalize pedophilia for their own satisfactions without consideration. And and if you support a pedophile, um, you need introspection. Now, maybe you are supporting a pedophile, don't even know it. Which case, when you find out, you need introspection. Now, if this doesn't apply to you, and I'm hoping it doesn't apply um, to too awfully many people, but this is not every single day, multiple times a day across my timelines on social media. Sexual predator, sexual predator, sexual predator. A lot of pastors, a lot of teachers, a lot of coaches, a lot of disgust, and with that being said, just a reminder, especially those claiming Christianity, um, Jesus doesn't like that. And it's not like if you stop and ask for forgiveness, you're going to be forgiven. That's not included anywhere else. There's just that one phrase, just that one statement. So who you support says more about you than it does them. All right. With that being said, immunity. Um, and again, I'm not feeling the greatest, but I'm pumped about doing this because there are things that I feel like I've got to get out, that I've got to say, because there is so many people that re- really don't have a clue what they're talking about. Now, I'm not a Harvard constitutional scholar, but I taught the Constitution, so I got some things to say about what has happened, and I hope you'll indulge me for just a few minutes because there are a lot of things going on, including this. There are those that automatically assume that, and this is the similarities are, um, you can't deny them. On March 23rd of 1933, the Enabling Act became law in Germany. Um, this was after Hitler had become chancellor, and it gave Hitler, seen here, oh, seen right there, chief executive power enforce his own laws without checks and balances. Passing of the act marked the formal transition from democratic republic to totalitarian dictatorship. Um, there are those that think that is what is happening, what has been set up, has been the plan, obviously, for a long time. And then there are those that also understand that this is a distinct possibility. However, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the United States will fall to fascism. I really don't. Even if they call themselves patriots and wave flags, they're basically following a pedophile and we know supernaturally that that doesn't win. Just saying. I'm just saying from a supernatural perspective for those that um, believe in such things, that have a acceptance that there's the possibility that there is indeed more. A- And I'll leave it with that, um, because that's not what this show's about. I'm thinking about starting another channel and and having a spiritual channel. I don't know. Um, Justice Department plans to pursue Trump cases past election day, even if he wins. This is why I'm saying I don't believe I don't believe it will fall to fascism, because I believe there are enough good Republicans. There are enough good Republicans that do not want to see that happen, and I hope I'm right. But this is a sign that democracy is not going to go down without a fight. There are people out there clamoring for a king, and we know who they want that to be. It becomes even more disgusting and disturbing and prosecutorial towards the supporters, because we already know who the guy is, and who you support says more about you than it does them. And if you don't like that, I'm saying it for your own good. I care about your soul. Justice Department plans to pursue Trump cases past election day, even if he wins. Okay. What they plan to do, they will go to court as late as the first day of January in hopes of getting the case settled before the 20th, which would be an inauguration day, to carry out justice. We'll see. Now, some other things. This is a stunt. All right. What you're going to see right here is a stunt. Representative Joe Morelli said Monday he will introduce a constitutional amendment to reverse the Supreme Court ruling issued Monday, which largely shields former presidents from criminal prosecution for actions in office. I will introduce a constitutional amendment to reverse SCOTUS' harmful decision and ensure that no president is above the law. This amendment will do what SCOTUS failed to do, prioritize our democracy. It all sounds really good. Um, a constitutional amendment not only um, will not get out of the House of Representatives, but it is a process. I think people, well, I know people have not had good government and economics and basic high school classes that teach you the basic civics of how our government functions and why it functions. And a lot of people don't know those things. But it takes a long time to get an amendment actually into onto part of the Constitution. Now there's no good news really in Trump land. Um, this is registered voters, CBS News. Should Trump even be running for president? 54% say no. 46% say yes. Over a a slight majority don't even think he should be running, let alone will he be elected. Now, that's going to say something to Republicans because, again, not every Republican is MAGA, but all MAGA are members of the Trump cult, in my personal opinion. Um, let's go to another member of the Trump brigade, Congresswoman from right here in Indiana, U.S. Representative Victoria Spots. She was charged with weapons violation at Dulles International Airport. Um, Tried to take a gun onto a plane, and of course, made a scene about being a congresswoman and do you not know who I am? And she's a Nazi, all right. And when I say Nazi, she's a Nazi. Um, she's from Ukraine, and she basically sold her family and her country out. Um, and it's wow, how did that happen? And it's very sad that, oh, I see what I did. My bad. All right. Um, let me get back over here. Hey to everybody. Everybody in the chat, thank you for watching. Um, everybody not in the chat watching live, thank you for watching. Those watching at your convenience, of course, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe, like, share, all of that. All right. Here we go. On to the scroll. I don't know how many of you know this. Today, a Palm Beach County judge, or yesterday actually, released the grand jury records from the 2008 Jeffrey Epstein criminal case. We're going to touch more on that in just a few minutes. Okay, this came from David Atkins. So if President Biden, by executive order, declared the Republican Party a terrorist organization and ordered drone strikes on Mar-a-Lago as an official act, he would have immunity, right? Those are the new rules. Well, no, not exactly, but unfortunately, pretty darn close. The way things are being interpreted in this particular situation. Um, speaking of speaking of people going to prison, Steve Bannon went to prison yesterday morning, and a friend of the show, former guest of the show, Anarchy Princess, was there with cowbell as Marjorie Taylor Greene pictured here in the blonde in the front. That the security's doing a pretty good job of making sure she's blocked and doesn't have access from behind. And Anarchy Princess doing a pretty good job of making her presence known, including the um, uh, I can't even. She's got it upside down. That's why I'm trying to read it, and I'm like, I can't even read that. It's upside down. Um, beach or bleach blonde, bad built butch body, I think is the phrase. But nonetheless, she was there to send Steve Bannon off to prison and to um, make sure Marjorie Taylor Greene knew that people knew she was there. Before we get into most of the rest of this is going to be about what's going on here in our country. But before we do that, I want to draw everybody's attention to what's going on in France. The French Parliament had their initial vote, and the initial vote, the far right, the far right party won, represented by this lady Marie Le Pen, who is up here on stage, and we'll be hearing from her shortly. Now, the far right won with, I think it was just over 30% of the vote, and there was protests in the street, riots in the streets of most of the major French cities. Now, that was just the initial round. The final round comes the first week of July. So on July 9th or 10th, France is going to explode, and possibly in more ways than one. And I want to preference what I'm about to play by reminding us here in America that not only have we had a lot of immigration into our country, but so has Western Europe, including France. And this is how, this is a public speech, as you can obviously see. I'll play this and then I'll comment afterwards.
À la sagesse et au bon sens des Français. Qu'on me donne une raison, une seule, pour garder sur notre territoire des étrangers qui collaborent avec une idéologie totalitaire qui veut la mort des Français. Les binationaux en lien avec l'idéologie islamiste doivent être déchus de leur nationalité et expulsés. Les Français qui adoptent l'idéologie de l'ennemi doivent être traduits devant les tribunaux et punis. Les lois existent, il suffit de les appliquer. Eh bien, moi, Présidente, ces lois seront appliquées sans faiblir.
So she's basically saying that anyone that is French and Muslim, if you are binational, you're stripped of your French citizenship and deported. But if you're French and you're Muslim, you're going to be jailed and taken before the courts. And again, this is what happens when a far right power takes over. And she hasn't taken over yet. She's just announcing what's going to happen.
En quelques semaines, je vous le promets, la France aura pris toutes les dispositions nécessaires pour se mettre à l'abri des fichiers S et en totale conformité avec notre état de droit. Les mosquées radicales seront fermées, les prêcheurs de haine expulsés, les associations faux nez du salafisme et des frères musulmans seront dissoutes. Avec moi, ayez la certitude que les droits des femmes aujourd'hui contestés par l'obscurantisme islamiste seront garantis à toutes les femmes de France. Avec moi, la sécurité n'ira pas à l'encontre de la liberté, en tout cas de la liberté des honnêtes gens. Je veux le dire.
Okay. Now, while I, as a Christian person, understand and have talked about on this program numerous times the Muslim call to worldwide jihad. The call has been made, which is basically the final war in the term of the Muslim, the war that the only people left are the Muslims. And that's not my words, that's their words. So while I understand her sentiment as far as there possibly being a threat of that happening, because they keep telling us it's going to happen. And at the same time, deciding what religion is acceptable and what religion isn't acceptable is a very slippery surface. And also, she is basically putting an X on France for jihadist actions, and in all shapes and forms. So on the 9th and 10th of July, sadly, do not be surprised if I'm on here reporting Paris is on fire. There have been suicide bombers. There have been numerous stabbings with machetes. There has been automatic gunfire, and the streets are on fire, and nobody is sure exactly who's on whose side, because there are going to be Muslim extremists, there are going to be anarchists, and there are going to be left-wing students, workers that don't want as a repressive government as is coming. Sadly, I believe that's what's going to happen July 9th. All right, now, what's going on in our country? Well, back February of 2001, Mitch McConnell, the turtle, reminded us Trump is still liable for everything he did while he was in office. And he's doing this because he did not want to bring a trial in the Senate against Trump. Instead, they just took an up or down vote, and there was no any semblance of a trial or information or witnesses or a complete recount of what happened on January 6th, just a few days before, because this is February 13th. But former presidents are not immune from being held accountable by either the civil or the criminal justice system. That's not the first time you're going to hear a federal official say that in this particular little episode. Do you remember I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill? Well, this is a slightly updated version. And let's give it a listen here. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Here we go.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on.
Those that don't remember this, This was on Saturday morning cartoons on ABC and the ABC after school specials they occasionally did. And it's I'm Just a Bill.
Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey.
Tough break, Billy boy, but there's a new way to make laws these days. Alex the name, and you better not have scratched the limo, pal. See, it works like this nowadays. Bunch of corporations get together and get tax write-offs for bankrolling a charity called the American Legislative Exchange Council. Sounds pretty official, huh? Then they schmooze and booze a whole lot of politicians from states all over the country at posh hotels. Corporate bucks also buy scholarships for politicians, if you're a scholar of drinking scotch, smoking cigars, and playing golf at a resort. So now there's suddenly one big happy family, the corporations, the lobbyists, the politicians. They all get together far away from your citizens and voters, and the unelected lobbyists secretly vote with the politicians, as equals, of course, on the things the corporations want to do. Like, get clean air and water rules, raise your credit card rates as high as they want, crush them Democratic unions, make it easier to get away with shooting people, and privatize schools, prisons, bail, immigration, and what have you. Hell, they privatized their own mothers. So once the politicians have been wined and dined, a little campaign contribution here, a good time there, the politicians, legislators, head back to their capitals or Congress and fast-track as many of these bills as they can. And here I am, a model ALEC bill, soon to be law. It's a hell of a lot easier and more fun than how you used to do it with all those regular old citizens and meddling media watching your every move. Face it, you're washed up. Corporations have made government of the people obsolete, Bill. It's a thing of the past. What do you have to say for yourself, you old dreamer?
Please help.
I ought to stand my ground on you right here. Put you out of your misery.
Just something to think about. Okay. I said earlier Donald Trump's a pedophile. And I also said earlier that the Epstein files came out today, and Donald Trump is all over those files. I'm going to read you something from a document, a court document, the 16th in 2016, April 26th, page 3 of 6. On the third occasion involving the defendant, Donald J. Trump, the plaintiff, Katie Johnson, and a lot of people are going to start seeing Donald Trump through Katie Johnson's eyes for the rest of his life. Let me start again. I got daughters. I've got granddaughters. I've got sisters. Had a mom. Got a lot of female friends, and I hope the MAGA people that might happen to be listening to this have some introspection. On the third occasion involving the defendant Donald J. Trump, the plaintiff, Katie Johnson, was forced to engage in an unnatural lesbian act with her fellow minor and sex slave, Mary Doe, aged 12, for the sexual enjoyment of defendant Trump. After this sex act, both minors were forced to orally copulate defendant Trump by placing their mouths simultaneously on his erect penis until he achieved sexual orgasm. After zipping up his pants, defendant Trump physically pushed both minors away while angrily berating them for the poor quality of their sexual performance. I'm not going to read any more. I'm not going to go on. This just vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And Jesus said, you hurt the little children. It would be better for you to have a millstone tied around your neck and be drowned among the fishes. Um, there will be those that will not want to hear this, of course. There will be those that will deflect and say, yeah, but, yeah. No, it's no yeah, but. It's yeah, this. Yeah, you. See, it's really, let me shrink it down. It's really, it's, it, it's really very simple. A lot of people each and every day are saying absolutely no way, never Trump again. Some have voted for him, multiple times. Every day people are going away. Now, why isn't everyone going away? That's what I'm going to shrink down. It's because if they admit he is as bad as he is, then that automatically says something about them, because it automatically says something about them. What they don't understand is everybody else is going to accept the fact that you saw what was going on, you saw the con, finally you understood that there are no good choices, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which I'm going to show you in just a couple of minutes. But some are just not even acceptable to even be considered. To be a dog catcher. And dog catchers is an important job because they take care of the dogs that get loose. Introspection. Defendant Trump grabbed his wallet and threw some money at her and screamed after she had asked, crying, what would happen if he had impregnated her. She should use the money to quote, end quote. Donald Trump's a pedophile. The court documents say so. He's disgusting. He's heavily tied, as we knew, to Jeffrey Epstein. And none of this is good, because on the other side you got a guy that struggles to put two sentences together. So Republicans, why don't you do the right thing at your convention and say, hey, we can't have a 34-time convicted felon as our candidate. For one reason, because Joe Biden now has the power by executive order to say convicted felons can't run for office. And what are you going to do about it? Oh, 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 whoa. Because that's what power was just given to Joe Biden. Because Donald Trump's not the president. Every day it looks less and less like Donald Trump will ever be the president of anything again. So all this power that MAGA's crowing about is in the hands of Joe Biden, just so you understand. And I don't like that any more than you do, probably. I don't like this either, but the mainstream media is not going to say anything about it. For 2 days, 48 hours on a secluded area of Dulles International Airport, set the private plane of Donald Trump, set the very public international transport of the Russian Federation, and sat for 18 hours out of one period, the United Arab Emirates plane, all three of them, and with vehicles apparently going back and forth, or at least potentially going back and forth. Now, this guy thinks he's got immunity. Um, there are a lot of missing documents. Don't be surprised if you don't start hearing stories. Okay. Now, I mentioned that Robert F. Kennedy is not even close to a potential alternative to the other two non we don't have an alternative, and somebody needs to fix that, and somebody will. But I don't know. Some of you may like the fact that Robert F. Kennedy takes pictures of himself eating a barbecue dog. Um, but a report in Vanity Fair reveals a friend told Bobby Kennedy Jr. that his campaign could cause him to go down as one of the great villains in American history. And I don't know. I couldn't think much less of the clown after this. I don't know about you. Um, Again, the Epstein documents are coming out. Epstein's phone directory from his computer contains 14 different phone numbers for Donald Trump, including an multiple emergency numbers, multiple automobile numbers, numbers to Trump's security guard, and to his houseman. So a lot of stuff's going to be coming out. Time for introspection. And it's okay. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to get disgusted. It's okay to say, I'm better than this. It's okay to say, I am a Christian. And why am I following a bunch of doctrine of hate? Because that's all of this is. It's okay. Matter of fact, it's better than okay. It's freaking awesome. Okay, this is Idaho. In Idaho, you got to be 18 years of age or older to go here. This is the library. If you have an unrestricted library card, then please have it ready to be scanned, and you must be accompanied by your parent or legal guardian who must sign an affidavit every time you come to the library, so they will know who's at the library and what they are reading. Idaho, where a 13-year-old is forced to carry out pregnancy but can't go to the library. Just something to think about. All right. Those that want Trump to have immunity so he can kill everybody that they hate. By the way, hate is not a Christian column in any way, shape, or form. The founding tenets of Christianity. Nowhere does it say hate, war, kill, death. No, but Barr's this guy Barr, he was the attorney general for Trump. The attorney general is the highest ranking legal law enforcement officer in the country. And he says this, Trump expressed executing people on many occasions while president. And now the Supreme Court has greenlit any official act with full presidential immunity. Again, Germany did the same thing in 1933, turned out great. That's sarcasm, of course, did not turn out well at all for the majority of Germans. And it would not turn out well for the majority of Americans. But the people that are pushing this don't give a rat's ass about any of the Americans other than themselves. And I'm going to keep reminding people of my opinion that that's what's going on. And if Bill Barr saying Trump didn't want, Trump wants to kill people, and I know that's why a lot of MAGA people want Trump back in there so he can kill the people that they think they hate, even though they don't even know him. Which, once again, don't be claiming Christianity because that is blasphemous, and that brings down righteous indignation. I'm just saying. Now, as if Barr was not enough, um, here's Esper, former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. Trump was suggesting that we should bring in troops and shoot the protesters. The commander in chief was suggesting the U.S. military shoot protesters. Yes, in the streets of our nation's capital. And keep in mind, this is why, while he was in a bunker safely underground, because these protesters were at the White House fence. That has been going on since the Great Depression. Prior to the Great Depression, it's been going on since the veterans came back from World War One. And keep in mind, the people he wanted to shoot were the Black Lives Matter protesters. And of course, about 90% of them were indeed members of the black community. So, all you blacks for Trump, introspection. And veterans supporting Trump. This one's for you. See, can you tell I'm trying to save some MAGA souls, folks? Can you see I'm trying to? There's a theme here. I'm trying to save some MAGA souls because that's what you do if you're an actual real Christian and you care about people. You show love by telling them the truth, even though they're going to hate you for it, even though hate's not a Christian thing. With all that being said, I thought this guy made a lot of sense. I'm not a veteran. I'm not in this guy's age demographic, but I thought this guy made a lot of sense.
Hey, veterans, why do you vote against us? Huh? Seriously, it's a serious fucking question. Why do you vote against other vets, including yourself? You think Republicans do a goddamn thing for you? Show me where they've done anything for us. Please. I want you to show me where a Republican, a MAGA Republican, has helped us in any way, shape, or form. And then, when you figure out that you can't tell me, I want you to explain why you support a man who wants to be a fucking dictator. A man who wants to shit on our Constitution. You know, the thing we swore an oath to? Or did you forget? Did you forget that you didn't swear to a fucking dictator wannabe who aligns with Putin?
Again, just something to think about. I thought the guy made a lot of sense, and especially when you consider. Now, see what happened the last time Trump was elected. Nobody thought he was going to get elected. There wasn't no plan. He didn't know what he was doing, and this time they got a plan for him, where he doesn't have to do anything but play golf, and his minions are going to destroy the country. And you MAGA will laugh at that now, but if the one true living God forbid, if he does get back into office, you will see that it's not going to be like you think it's going to be. It's going to be more like this. Project 25. Here's 5 recommendations from Project 25. Eliminate concurrent receipt of retirement pay and disability compensation for veterans. So you can either be disabled or you can be retired. You can't be retired and disabled at the same time. That'd save $160 million. Screw the vets. You can end enrollment in VA medical care for veterans in priority group 7 and 8. That'll save $69 million. Or you can narrow eligible veterans' disability by excluding disabilities that are unrelated to actual military duties. That'll save $37.6 million. Or you can put a 10-year limit on the initial applications for disability compensation for veterans so that if the paperwork gets all jammed up and it takes 10 years for you to get your disability, you don't get back disability. No, you get no disability because you're late. That'll save $20 million. Or you can cap the GI Bill flight training benefits. Yeah, we don't need people learning how to fly. $137 million saved there by not teaching people how to fly. I don't know, maybe we don't need to teach people how to fly if drones are going to be the major weapon of the artificial intelligence overlords. You're waiting for me to laugh, but I really hope that's not what's coming. I hope that was a massive joke. So let me get back over. Here's where we want to be. This is Admiral James Starvridge, United States Navy retired. And he commanded dozens of major bases in Europe for 4 years as a Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and commander of the U.S. European Command. Now, the U.S. European Command is what I talked about in the last episode that has elevated all of its bases to threat protection level Charlie, which is basically Delta's the next level, which is attacks are ongoing primarily. So this admiral 13 hours ago decided to put this out. We had plenty of scares, this being when he was the commander, but they had nothing that required this level of alert. And he says clearly there's a deep concern, and that is consistent with everything that he individually can see. Again, the word is within a week, a possible event at one or more U.S. bases. If you've been with us throughout this whole thing, you know we talked about what could potentially be kicking off with France and with a Muslim factor to it. At some point, do not be surprised if there is a major coordinated Muslim attack worldwide. They've been saying that's coming, and we shouldn't be surprised when it comes, but we will. I will too. But because they're, always praying that things like that do not happen. Now, the one section of the title of tonight that I have not touched on too much, other than talking about how Turtle Mitch McConnell dodged actual impeachment to cover his own butt with the MAGA people in Kentucky. And I also showed earlier that there's a congressman from New York who says he's going to bring about a constitutional amendment, which will take, years because it has to go to every state and has to go through. It'll take at least 6 years because it has to go to 2 different election cycles. So anyway, the one thing that in the system of checks and balances in our government, the way it's set up, the check against the Supreme Court is that Supreme Court justices can be impeached. And when the House of Representatives gets back in session, there will be impeachment proceedings brought against, I'm guessing, 4 of the Supreme Court nominees. And
no one's above the law in the United States. That's a foundational principle that I've talked about, coming from Federalist 69, coming from the structure of the Constitution.
I don't think the president.
Right there, he just lied to Congress in order to get a federal job. Now, there's no time. What's it called? Okay, you all know what I'm talking about. Statute of limitations. With lying to Congress, there's no statute of limitations. So we just heard one candidate for the Supreme Court lie to Congress. Let's see if we got another one.
Is above the law. No person in this country, no matter how high or powerful, is above the law.
I believe that
There's 2. Here comes 3.
no one is above the law under our system, and that includes the president.
Okay. Now, whether you like it or not, they are lying to Congress. And the Democrats in Congress are going to impeach them for this. Whether you like it or not, that's what's going to happen. Now, let's get the 4th in here before I go on.
The president is fully bound by the law.
No man is above the law.
Does he have that power?
No man is above the law, Senator.
I agree. No one is above the law.
No one's above the law in the United States.
Okay, there we go. No one's above the law except Donald Trump, apparently, at the moment, anyway, according to an awful lot of interpretations. It will be interesting to see how all of this indeed plays out. This could be good for Trump, the individual, as far as not going to prison. This could be the cancellation of Donald Trump as a human, because everything is going to come out, not officially, not in court, but in hearings, because they have to decide now. They have to decide what's evidence and what's not. And in order to do that, you got to talk about everything. People are going to hear everything. Whether it gets into evidence or not won't matter, because the public is going to hear it. You go ahead and run for office, Don. The Republicans are behind, and the Republicans behind the scenes are poo-pooing clay briquettes at the possibility of Joe Biden winning in a landslide, because their candidate's a felon. Rather than endlessly go after their political enemies, maybe Jack Smith and the Biden's DOJ would better serve the American people going after the pedophiles on Jeffrey Epstein's client list, which we now know include his dad. Just thought I'd end on that little gem, just to try to maybe jog some MAGA heads into a little common sense to understand that, you know what, everything that Marine said about putting America first and the Constitution, and we don't do this, we're no dictator. Maybe I should value all that if I'm a veteran, instead of following some failed businessman, 34-time convicted felon, pedophile. Now, what I showed, and here, let me go back and show it again, just in case you're just joining and you're going, how can you be accusing Donald Trump of being a pedophile. Um, I'm showing information that shows and proves Donald Trump's a pedophile. Running back through the scroll, it's right here. I will leave it up here momentarily, long enough for those of you to read this that have not. And that is as big as I can get the print. If you're on your phone, um, you're gonna have to zoom in. Um, and there's other information. Again, the Epstein documents just came out today, and the ties between Trump and Epstein are very deep. And a lot of people suspected that, but with the court documents unexplainably being sealed, now we know they were sealed because of Donald Trump, which is actually another example of suppressing information to try to influence an election. So I don't know if there'll be charges coming from any of this. I know the statute of limitations has run out, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean Jesus doesn't have a statute of limitations either. I'm just saying. Pretty sure I've read the Bible repeatedly and preached it, and no statute of limitations. Just saying. So, with all that being said, thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate it. I really do. And I've got a massive headache. I've had a massive headache for a couple of days. And looking at the computer screen does not help me. I'm feeling better tonight than I felt the past couple of nights, which I consider a good thing. But I'm saying all this not for any other reason than to say why I'm not going to get over. I know there are people watching. I know people are in chat, and I wish I felt good enough to have people come up, engage in conversations on all of this, but I just don't at the moment. I am going to be back on tomorrow night at 11, and my plan is the entire, unless there are some incredibly major stories that I've got to talk about. Otherwise, I'm just going to come on. I'm going to shoot for 90 minutes of just on here, and just having you come up, having the link, you pop up, and if you got a question, a comment, there's something you want to talk about, or interacting through the chat. And I do have a topic. I've got a topic that I want to put up as a starter, if you will, for tomorrow night. That's the plans. Again, thank you all for being here. I hope that everything that was said tonight was said because I love this country. I love the people of this country. I love my kids. I love my grandbabies. And I don't want to see anybody be lost. Do some introspection. What's it going to hurt? If you do some introspection, you find out you're exactly where you should be. That's where you should be. Maybe you'll find out I got to question some things. That's okay. It's okay. And it's okay to quit things. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's an incredible positive. I'll leave you with that. Much love. Almost as much as chocolate chip cookies. Peace. It's a dark world. Try to be a light. See you tomorrow night at 11. Thanks for being here.